the last two sessions, we addressed some questions such as what we see here: how to manage a relapse, how to manage acute condition, how to be sure patient is improving, how do we avoid interpretation, how to elicit sensation in a person who has a limited vocabulary, how do we start taking a case in a sensation method, how do we do it in a shorter period of time, how to find the remedies which are not in the repertory, how do we know we have taken the case in depth, how to approach one-sided diseases such as vitiligo or alopecia areata. What's the difference between a miasm and the actual disease? How to get history of patients who do not give a good history? What to do in an autism case where the child cannot describe the sensation? So these are the questions so far. Now today we start new set of questions that have come from you. How to take the cases in patients who are in a denial mode? How to probe further once we have reached the issue to understand the experience and miasm? Well, case taking has several aspects. It is not only what you ask and what the patient says. That is where your denial mode or other mode comes in. But your case taking already begins far before the patient even opens his mouth. And then you have your observation. Also, you have the history of the patient. You have his physical symptoms. You have the dreams. You have the childhood. You have the interests and hobbies. And also you have, more importantly, the observation and the statements from the relatives and acquaintances of the patient. If it was simply left to questions and answers, then you have a problem, because if the patient doesn't answer, then you are left with nothing. In this way, by looking at all the aspects, different aspects of the case, you will be able to get a clue somehow or the other. We had a case about 3 days ago. Some of you might have seen. It was a man with cirrhosis of the liver. He came and said, I am fine. I have no anxiety. I have no worry. I have no issues. I have no symptoms. What to do? Then question was asked, how did he develop the cirrhosis? So the answer was alcohol. It's alcohol. We asked him, when did he start drinking alcohol? And he says, since the age he was 9 years old. How did you obtain alcohol when you were 9 years old? Said, well, my friend's father was drinking, and he would tell his son, go and bring alcohol for me from the shop. I would go with a friend, and we both would drink that alcohol, some parts of it, before we gave it to him. Then, second question, till when are you drinking alcohol? Have you stopped? Because he was detected with cirrhosis 5 years ago. And he says he's still drinking off and on. Says, you don't know that alcohol can damage you beyond repair. There was no reply only. Same he does with tobacco. 10 times a day he consumes tobacco. I said, don't you know tobacco is a problem? Doctors have not told you? Yes, yes, they have told me. But I am still taking it. So even though patient is saying he has no anxiety and no this and nothing, but his symptom, what are the symptoms we can find now? Craving for alcohol, this deceitfulness, cheating and drinking it, and a complete lack of responsibility for himself and for his family. No sense of responsibility. Then we went in the history, past history. What are the things that affected you most, or what dream you get? He said, I get dream of my father, my dead father. That's the only dream he gets. So somewhere the father is very significant for him. So what happened when your father died? So when my father died, I was very upset. What did you feel? He says, my father used to take care of everything, of the business, of the family. I had nothing to do. I was happy. Now I feel I have to do all these things. I don't like it. Again, you see the same aversion to responsibility. The same aversion that he's showing by consuming alcohol and tobacco, despite that he may die. So, another aversion to responsibility. So, in this way, we are able to get the symptomatology. And then we understand that these are the exact symptoms of medorinum. Medorinum has craving for alcohol, liar, deceitful, and aversion to responsibility. And what is the main theme of medorinum? Is that he doesn't like to expose his weakness. It's a psychotic miasm. So his telling that I have no anxiety, no fear, no worry is also part of his state, that he doesn't want to expose himself. So in this way, even a patient who denies, even that very denial could be a part of his state. Another way of denial is called spontaneous denial. Spontaneous denial. Spontaneous denial means, suppose you say, what was your situation in childhood? My father and my mother, they were more partial towards my brother or my sister. But I was not jealous. No, not me. Who asked you? So when somebody without any provocation, any questioning, mentions something in the denial mode, that is surely a symptom. So then you understand jealous. And then you start to ask, tell about jealous. Just jealous, no, I don't feel. I know you don't feel very good, no problem. But what means jealous? And then something will open up. So you have to zoom in, and usually you can ask a question in the third party. That means you can say, no, I know you are not jealous, but what is jealousy in general? When somebody feels jealous, what do they feel? And then the description of that jealousy will come out. The best example of this kind of denial happened to me because I was at some stage, some many years ago, I was asked to see the head of state of a particular country, the president of one country. So that was the highest profile patient I ever treated, right? So higher than that, only God knows. So I was also a bit, initially I got quite anxious, at the same time little excited. Then I thought, what is the idea of getting anxious? Nothing to lose. Suppose I go and nothing happens. I am in the same position, no? Do you follow? And what do I lose? And then I thought he's also human. He also might be having constipation. Who knows? So why I should consider him something different just because his position? So in this way, I tried to strengthen myself. Then I told myself, see, worst comes to worst, I will ask him what is your problem. He must be having some problem for which he is calling me. He will say, I have this or that, maybe headache, backache, whatever it may be. Then I'll say, okay, tell me about that. Easy, no? So then I was called in this big room, and he was sitting like that, like a king, huh? So I sat in front of him and I said, okay, so tell me what is your problem? And he said, I don't have any. Now what to ask? I don't have any. I was also stumped for a moment. Then, you see, necessity, they say, is mother of invention. Means you have to come up with something, no? So I said, then why did you call me here? Don't you think it's a natural question? He says, because I don't want to have any problem. Now what to ask? I said, what problem you don't want to have? He says, you see, I sometimes get sciatic pain and I don't want to have that sciatic pain. I said, why you don't want to have sciatic pain? He's saying, not that I'm afraid of paralysis or anything, but I simply don't want the pain. This is denial. So I asked him, tell me, you don't want to have paralysis? Tell me about that. No, I don't want to have paralysis. Who wants to have paralysis? I said, what it feels if you have paralysis? How would I know? I never had it. Go and ask somebody who has it. I said, okay, I understand exactly, but in homeopathy we need to understand something deeper. So I know you don't have it, and with my treatment you probably won't, but if you were to have it, or if somebody were to have it, what would they feel? Well, they might feel handicapped. How does handicapped feel? So how do I know? Ask the person who is handicapped. So we were playing a little bit cat and mouse game. But I persisted. No, it's very important to know what does a handicapped person feel in your imagination. So in this way, by persistence and by certain confidence that I knew what I was doing. So he went along and slowly then opened up. Then he told me a dream. We went into the dream and the whole case came out nicely. Huh? So in this way, you have to watch out for what you call spontaneous denial, and then you use the third party to find out the experience. But try to understand that in every case, there are a lot of avenues, areas of possibilities, and not just one. Another thing is that you have to hammer into the most important area of that case, which has the energy. You shouldn't leave it. And you have to try to get into the exactness of it. That is very, very important. I'll give you a case I just saw half an hour ago. It was a man with polymyositis. He is taking methotrexate, he is taking steroids, he has it for many years. Now, the story was that at the moment he doesn't have any characteristic symptoms locally because everything is covered up by steroids, by painkillers, by methotrexate. At the moment, nothing. Polymyositis, autoimmune disorder, must be related to state of mind. Very important. Autoimmune and state of mind very, very closely connected. So, how did it start? Exciting factor. And he said it started because one person whom I trusted fully, one friend, he cheated me. This is the starting point. Okay, very good. Then, what's the effect of that thing on you? So he says, what happens to me is that when I am trying to concentrate on my reading or my business or even during conversation, I find that after some time, I just cannot concentrate. I need to change. I need to get out of that place and move somewhere else and do something else. And after some time, again I feel, no, I can't do this. I have to move. I asked him, you feel that when you are doing, you feel that your capability is limited, that you are not able to understand, not able to focus, not able to do it? Or there's something else? No, no, no. There is no doubt about my capability. I am fully confident. It's simply that after some time, I cannot stay in that place. I have to move. So now, what do we have? We have cheated, feeling cheated, and the feeling he cannot concentrate, must move. These are two things. There's a ailment from, and he keeps thinking about this. I was cheated, I was cheated, I was cheated. And then he gets this kind of concentration difficult. How to understand? Now, having got two of his main qualities, we try to understand the dream. What is the dream? He says, I have dreams of snakes. Now, what to do here? Now we can put our theory, we can put dream of snake, we can take betrayed, we can find Hyoscyamus. Hyoscyamus is restless. Whatever, our mind can create any theory from this. But here what needed is exactness. So I asked him, tell me about this dream of snakes. And he says, in this dream of snakes, there are two snakes. And one snake actually swallows the other snake. And it swallows it whole. That other snake goes into the first snake full. First it bites it in the neck, some blood is coming out, and then it swallows the whole snake. Isn't that strange? What do you think? How many people with dreams of snakes will tell you this? Now, this is where you have to put your entire attention, because this is peculiar, this is rare, strange. If you miss this, you miss the case. And if you take this as dream of snake, your case is out of the window. This patient has already received homeopathic treatment. He has received 7 different remedies without any effect. So I asked, now describe this snake. He says, I start to imagine what is that snake which is being swallowed. What does it feel? What does it feel? I asked him. What does it feel? He says, it feels that it's going into a very, very narrow place. And then it's getting like this, squeezed. And then it cannot breathe. It will suffocate and it will die. I said, now forget the snakes. Just describe this experience of like that, narrow, squeeze, squeeze. He says, that's the feeling, it's like this, like this, like this. I said, tell more about it. Then he said something very interesting. He said, there was one boy. In the newspapers, you might have read also, in TV also, it was for many days. One little boy wandered and fell into a bore well. You know it? Prince, I still remember the name. Prince, you know? Did they take him out? Yeah. He was probably referring to somebody else, because he said this boy was buried there only. So anyway, he fell into it. He says, I imagine what he must be feeling. What he must be feeling, he says, फंस गया वो, trapped. So now we forget the snakes, and what do we get? Narrow, suffocated, trapped. And what is this trapped? I ask him. He's saying it is a dhoka. How you translate dhoka? Betrayal, no? So what is dhoka? I asked him, what is dhoka? Dhoka means, he says, you didn't know that this thing was like that. It looked innocent. And suddenly you find that it is like that. And then you wish, oh, why did I go to that? Now I am finished. I am stuck. I am trapped. I am dead. So now you can see here in the repertory, we can take 2 rubrics, delusion, and under that, deceived. This is our first symptom. This is the causative factor. And the second is concentration, his effect, concentration, difficult, and under that you see restlessness from. Because he is restless, he cannot concentrate. And when you take these 2 symptoms, so you find the remedy is Drosera, which incidentally also has the rubric delusion trapped. Because Drosera is a trap, isn't it? It's a carnivorous plant. You don't know that it is dangerous. You go there, you get stuck, it closes around you, you cannot get out, and then you die. So that's the exact description of Drosera. So this man received Drosera. I think he'll do very good. So we've got to, if we don't get the symptom directly, it will come out through the dream, it will come out through denial, it will come out through third party, then if the patient says nothing at all, call the relative, call the friend. What my one student of mine, Dr. Gorang, what he does is, in many cases where the patient is not giving a clear history, he tells the patient, I want 5 people whom you know to write few pages about you and send me in a sealed envelope. You shouldn't see it. So he receives this information from other people. And very, very useful. You get lot of information. So in this way, you cover your ground and nobody can escape your scrutiny. And your observation is also there. So the basic thing is, we can take out the way wherever it, be confident of that. Okay, let us go to question next.